Hello everyone, how you doing? I'm photographer Matthew Jordan Smith. This year I am celebrating 30 years as a working photographer. And I've got to say it feels really good, but it wasn't always easy. But this year I want to do something very special for you. I want to share everything I've learned over 30 years to becoming a successful photographer. So this year I'm sharing all the ups and downs and helping you navigate through your journey so it's a little bit easier. Maybe you've been shooting for 10 years or 5 years, or you just bought a camera recently. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey in photography. I've got some tips that can help you have an easier journey towards success. So today, I'm sharing 5 steps to becoming a successful photographer. Now, it's not always easy. I know there are ups and downs, and today there are more photographers in the field than ever before. So it's very competitive. But what I had to tell you today can help you navigate through your path. So it's just a little bit easier. So let's get started right now with these 5 steps to becoming a successful photographer. Welcome to 5 steps to becoming a successful photographer. Again, I'm Matthew Jordan Smith. And just let me tell you right now, thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for coming out. I promise to make this worth your while. If you don't know me, people often say, what do you shoot? Well, I'm best known for photographing celebrities. And that's taken me a long way in the world of photography. But that's not how I got started in my career. I've also done a lot of commercial assignments for advertising, for beauty campaigns. You may have seen me on America's Next Top Model. I've done this show about 5 or 6 times. Working with great celebrities is wonderful. Doing fashion and beauty, which is where I began my career, is also a lot of fun. I love just taking pictures of my parents sometimes, or just taking shots of a great sunset. I love photography. And I know you do too because you're here. So today, this is all about you. I just want to give you a little background on me and where I came from as a photographer. And I'll go a little deeper into that as well later on as we get going. But first and foremost, I love photography. So let me give you your first success tip for today. Focus on one area. I just showed you pictures of different things I love doing. But at the start of your career, to get clients, to get well known, to let people know where you are. To start, I want you to focus on one area. That means it's okay to like shooting a lot of different things, but focus on one first. Make yourself successful first doing that. Follow that one course until success. Then you can do other stuff. But in the beginning, if you want to have real success, focus on one area. So that means if you love doing portraits, that's great. But also, maybe you love doing portraits, but you also like doing landscapes. Continue shooting the landscapes or anything else you want to shoot. But when you first show your work and you're first starting out, focus on just portraits and nothing else. Now, becoming a working photographer today is harder than ever before. And this is why the focus on one is more important today than ever before. I know, as photographers, we all like doing different things. But if you want success, I mean uber success, you need to focus and follow that one course until you are successful. And then you can deviate and do other things. Now, how do you stand out from the crowd? Which is really a big part of success today. There are more photographers in the world than there have ever been. How do you stand out from that crowd? You've got to find a way to make your pictures stand out from everybody else. And that can't be an accident. It can't be just one beautiful picture. It has to be picture after picture after picture. So people can see that it's not a mistake, that you have a formula that is working. Now, one great way to do this is to learn from others. So let me stop right now and just go over what you're going to learn today. Today, first and foremost, you're going to learn those 5 proven steps to becoming a successful photographer. You're going to learn also how I got my start in photography, and you're going to learn how you can have more success in photography. Let's start from my beginning, my humble beginning, how I got started. So, all right, this is me as a kid growing up in New York City. This is before we moved to the South. You probably hear a little Southern twang in my accent. That's because at 7 we moved to South Carolina. My father gave me a camera at that point because I was a shy kid dealing with this change in my life, and the camera became my extension, the camera became my extension to breaking out of my shell. I started reading books about other photographers, and one of my first books was The Learning Tree, and reading about somebody who looked like me, Gordon Parks. I became obsessed with this man and his lifestyle. He was a photographer who was traveling all over the world and taking pictures of celebrities. I read this as a kid, and it's kind of funny, but that's my life today. Then I went to art school, where I learned the basics of photography. I learned about aperture and shutter speed and ISO and even printing in a darkroom back then. And then I worked as a photo assistant. I moved to New York City and began working as a photo assistant. And this was my real education in photography. Now, this is a picture of me back in the assisting days, and I've got to tell you, this was such an education for me. Going to photography school was one thing, going to art school was one thing, but going and taking it into the real world was something different. Now, as a photo assistant, I worked with all types of cameras and all types of lights. This was great for me because I got to experiment and see what worked and what didn't work, or what fit my personality by watching others. Then I started working for myself after having this education, after having the time working as an assistant. Then I started working for myself. I started putting everything I learned during that time as a student, as a photo assistant, into work. I started getting other clients from all over the place, from American Vogue to Brides Magazine to Essence Magazine. Then started traveling around the world and shooting for clients who were overseas in Europe and in Asia. And yes, I started photographing celebrities. Like here, this is Aretha Franklin. And I love this stuff. I still love it. And today I'm here to share my journey with you so you can grow. I also want to stop right now and let you know that you have the ability to be a great photographer. It is within you. If I can do this, so can you. So I want to give you 5 steps that are going to help you along your way, along your journey. These are the 5 steps to becoming a successful photographer. Step number 1, discover how others have become successful. This is what was happening when I was reading those first books by Gordon Parks. I was discovering how he became successful. So that first step, discover how others have become successful. And as you study photographers, find your favorites, because you'll soon discover that they all have a different path. Not everybody follows the same way about becoming successful. And that's the great thing about photography. There's not one path. Find your favorite photographers and then study them. Find out how they did it. And then you can follow the path. You start seeing the path. So there are great books on great photographers. Annie has an amazing book out called Annie at Work. This is Annie Leibovitz, one of my favorite photographers. Read that book. Find your favorite photographers and study their style, study their path, and then mold your own path. Mine was Gordon Parks. He was one of many who I really enjoyed getting to know by reading his books and studying everything. This is one of my photo shoots of Gordon that I did years before he passed away. And also, this is my very first portrait of Gordon Parks on the left, with him signing that very first book I read, The Learning Tree. The great thing about studying how others have made it, you get to see all the different ways that you can become successful in this field. So learn different ways and find what fits you and your style. A professor told me when I was in art school, he says, Matthew, if you want to be a great photographer, either go to New York, London, or Paris and work first as a photo assistant. At the time, I had never even heard of being a photo assistant. But once he told me that, it was in my mind and I had to follow that course. So that's what I did. So here's an image of some of my assistants over the years. These are two past assistants now, but this is what I did, and this is what they have done as well. They're working on set, seeing what happens on a job, and learning how to make that job come to life. Okay, let's go to step number 2. After this part, after doing your learning about others and how they've done it, I want you to create an action plan that fits your lifestyle. Now, I say that because maybe you're now older. You can't stop and work as a photo assistant. Maybe you have a 9-to-5 job. That doesn't mean you can't make a different plan to become successful. Find a plan that fits your lifestyle. Maybe you can only study after you get off your 9-to-5 job. That's fine. Everybody has their own path. You can also learn today, especially by watching, but you must do. It's great to learn by watching. I know there are a lot of ways you can learn online by watching, but that's not enough. You must also put what you've watched into practice and start doing as well. And also, it doesn't matter about age. Everyone has a different path. So find that path that fits your lifestyle. You're hearing these words from me, but let me share what Carlos Slim told me when I photographed him. He was telling me about his journey as a young child and learning about work ethic and how you got to do something every single day and have this burning desire to be successful. It's the same thing in photography. You need to have this burning desire to be successful as a photographer and do something, small or not, every single day. And before you know it, you'll be living your dream. But you must have that strong work ethic. It doesn't come free. It doesn't come easy. You've got to work for it. So follow the path of others and then make an action plan. So what does that look like? Let's say you're working a 9-to-5 job. That's your career right now. You're working 9-to-5, but you love photography. And one day you want that to be your career. You've got to make time every day where you're working on it. It's your hobby now, but you want to be a photographer. That means even though you're working 9-to-5, you must put time on your calendar to practice your craft. That means every day from 7 to 8 or from 8 to 9 or wherever you can find that hour, 1 hour a day, your action plan means you must work on your craft. Maybe it's in shooting or learning how to use a different lens, or it's working on lighting or composition. But every day you need to work on something. Put this in your calendar right now. So tomorrow, you can do your first hour, and this is a brand new day for you, of working on your action plan. Number 3, you must make your photographs stand out. One of the best ways to do this is through learning lighting. Now, yes, it is great to learn as many different ways of shooting as possible, but then put your own spin on it. Learn from everybody, learn how they light, learn how they use light, and then do your own twist to make your pictures stand out. It's not enough just to copy what somebody else is doing. Then your work looks just like theirs. You want to go a little bit further and test. Use that hour a day that you're spending in your daily photography to make your own recipe of light. Test, experiment, find your way to make your pictures stand out. Learn how to see light. Once you do that, it opens doors to new possibilities. Because every picture needs a visual identity. So you can look at your work and say that Mary shot that picture. That's John's work. That's Michael's work. You want to make your pictures stand out. This is the only way you'll get high-end clients or have a career as a photographer. And that means whether you're photographing celebrities, portraits, photographing children, it doesn't matter. Learn to use light and make your pictures stand out. So when they want to photograph children or celebrities or portraits or landscapes, they can come to you for your visual identity. And again, lighting is a key way to make your pictures stand out, to make you stand out as a photographer. Let's go on to number 4. Many of you remember when digital first came on the scene, and many were reluctant to jump on it, and I was one of them, I must admit. But I'm telling you now, I don't want you to make the same mistake that I did. Learn new technology early. Photography is not going to stay still. It's going to continue to evolve. So that means stay on top of everything by taking classes, on workshops, stay on top of what's happening right now. New gear, new technology. Take a workshop. Maybe it's about light or a new camera or a new technique. Take classes, go to seminars, and again, definitely go to workshops as much as possible. Learn as much as you can, as often as you can. Photography will never stay still. It's going to keep on evolving. And if you want to have a great career, you must stay on top of the curve. When I photographed Gregory Hines years ago, now he was one of the best tap dancers in the world, and he was working on a movie with another great dancer, Mikhail Baryshnikov. And he was working all day on the set, doing the movie. Gregory said that he would normally just take it easy, relax, have dinner. But Mikhail was going to take a class. He'd take a dance class after working all day on the movie. And he was inspired by this, to see this man who was at the top of his game, who was continuing to take classes, even though he was one of the best dancers in the world. And he said from that day forward, he did the same thing. I think every artist must do the same thing. Every photographer must do the same thing. You work at your craft. You never give up. You never stop taking classes. And now, number 5. Make a personal connection. I say this one for last because it is so major. We often take it for granted. We spend all of our time thinking about how we can become a better photographer or become more successful by working on only photography. And that's a mistake. If you want to be successful in any career, including photography, you must make a personal connection with your clients or your subjects. That means person to person, getting to know them, having them get to know you. When I'm working on a new assignment or I'm working with a brand new client, I'm doing everything I can to make that personal connection right away. I'm giving flowers. Even when I'm working with a client who I've worked with for decades, like Vanessa Williams, I always give flowers. I want to keep that connection going. It's not just about photography, it is about you making that extra effort and going further, making that connection with that person. Also, when I'm on holiday, I'll send a postcard, an old fashioned postcard to my clients. They love that. You want to be successful, have a great career, work on personal connections. Okay, now let's recap. First and foremost, discover how others have become successful. Number two, create an action plan that fits your lifestyle, no matter where you are, what age you are. Find your action plan and put to work right away. Number three, learn to make your photographs stand out. That means you're going to work on finding out how you make your pictures just a little bit different. The lighting, the creativity, your style. Then number four, learn new technology early. Don't be afraid of it, whatever it is. And then finally, make that personal connection. All right, guys, here's the final tip. Practice, practice, practice. Don't be afraid. Get out there and make your dreams come true. You want to be a great photographer? It means you got to shoot all the time. Figure out how you can get out there and make your light looks a little bit different when you're shooting outside. And don't be afraid to experiment. Have fun, guys. This is a great industry, and I know you have it within you to be the best that you can be. If you follow all these steps, you will have greater success in photography, guaranteed. All right, guys, that's it for right now. Always dream big. I'm Matthew Jordan Smith.